Hi everyone, Heather here with Astrology.com, and I am here for my normal weekly video, except today I am here with Amy, one of the wonderful psychics on Astrology's YouTube channel. Hi Amy.
Hi.
And today we're going to be talking about a really fun topic. We're going to be talking about psychic abilities and how to sort of find it in the astrological chart, how to develop your abilities, all these different topics. So we're going to sort of flow with it and see what happens.
Yes, and it's on the moon as well. Woo!
Yeah, new moon. It's nice and dark. There's all this Scorpio energy too. I thought this was awesome. Like we tried to do this a couple of times, but like the timing didn't work out. And now we have like this Mercury conjunction to Jupiter and Scorpio, which is like diving deep, looking at esoteric topics, things that are below the surface. This is like enhancing psychic abilities and our ability to communicate what it is that we're sort of interpreting and intuiting from the inside. And so it's actually really nice timing because that came exact yesterday. And then we have this like dark new moon happening today. So it's awesome. Yeah. So Amy, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came into like discovering your abilities and all of these different things?
Cool. Well, I was actually quite a young child. Like I probably was about 5, and there's just this very vivid past time that I remember. I was about 5 or 6, and I slept in a bunk bed. And it was in the first house I lived in, and there was I just woke up in the middle of the night, and we usually have a light on upstairs, and that was switched off. And then there was it was like a dark figure in the room, and it's like a man, probably about 6 foot, and he was walking towards my bed, and I freaked, and I couldn't scream. I tried to scream, I couldn't. I was trying to call my mom, and the only initial reaction was dive under the covers, which is what I did. The next minute I knew the lights were back on. My mom comes running in saying, "Amy, I heard you calling my name, but it was like a dream. It was so weird." And I told her what happened. She didn't believe me. Little did I know she did believe me, because my mom actually has abilities as well as my grandma, who's now passed over, and my dad, who's passed over, he had abilities. And then as I grew up into my teenage years, I realized that I was very empathic towards people. Like I was bullied all the way through my teenage years, and I had compassion for them, and I didn't know why. Like, why would you have compassion for someone that hated you, you know? And it wasn't until my 20s I just thought, you know what, I have something here. I see things, I hear things, I can, feel things when they're about. Why am I not nurturing this? And that's where I went from there. And then I had a very strong dream to make a YouTube channel. Then I found Larder, and it all just went from there.
Oh, awesome. Oh, that's wonderful. That's so perfect. And I could see, because you were nice enough to share your chart information, and you had some really interesting stuff in your chart that we kind of discussed a little bit yesterday. Yeah. And so I'd like to just really quickly go over that so you can talk about your experience with these things, because it's relevant, right? Because we're talking about sort of how these things show up in the birth chart and all of that as well. And so a lot of times, so psychic abilities tend to show up in different ways in different people's charts. It's not always the same. It's not always like, oh, the moon is doing this one thing, or, Neptune is here. But a lot of people who tend to have abilities like yourself and some of the other psychics on this channel and some of the people that I've sort of encountered in my lifetime, they have a lot of Pisces energy or a lot of Neptune going on. And that is something that you have, right? Because your sun is actually at the first degree of Pisces, and it is like the most intense, most concentrated energy of Pisces when it's at that beginning degree right there, when it's at the first degree. So that is like an ultra Pisces, right? So that's being deeply empathic, especially, near the IC. So down there where that's also dreams too, which we'll get into because we're going to talk about lucid dreaming. And, that relates to that as well. But as far as like a lot of the things that you've experienced and that you are able to experience, it comes a lot through your moon, it seems like. I mean, you're also a Scorpio rising, which is interesting because we have our rising signs at the exact same degree, 11 degrees in Scorpio, which is so strange, right?
Yes.
And a lot of the things that you were just saying in your story about how you started to realize you had these abilities, they sort of mirror my experience in early childhood almost exactly. Like I had night terrors because I would have visitations. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. But so people who have Scorpio rising, they tend to be deeply psychic, or at least they can see through the veils, they can see through bullshit, they can sort of, understand things on a deeper level. Having a lot of Scorpio energy or having a lot of Pisces energy, that makes you a little bit more empathic, deeply connected to these other worlds, these other realms. And then when you look at the other water sign, because a lot of this usually comes through the water signs, not always, but a lot. And when you look at the other water sign, which would be Cancer, that's more an ability to understand people on an emotional level. So it's like it's an emotional intelligence, and it's more of an intuition. And your moon, though, which is interesting, is in Taurus. And something that I've noticed with a lot of people that have these abilities and that can sort of intuit and interpret these things is that they have a lot of Taurus moons, which you would think Taurus is grounded, right? It's like it's Earth. It's not like the most watery, intuitive, but the moon is exalted in Taurus. And a lot of times my clients will have a moon in Taurus and some sort of connection a lot of times with Neptune that can help as well. But the moon in Taurus in general indicates that your intuition comes through the body. So it's like you're feeling something physically and tangibly. And so you get messages through that. And it's hard to describe to people because it's not like you probably see things because you have this also in trine with Neptune, right? So having a Neptune trine to the moon, Neptune conjunction to the moon, that can cause you to have visions and impressions and to be able to see things beyond this realm. And for you, you can see it sometimes in a physical way, right? Because you can see auras. So that's connected to that, the body and this Taurus energy. But Taurus moon people, they tend to get these intuitions, these downloads through their body so they can feel what's happening tangibly. And it's a very strange experience for a lot of people. And most people feel misunderstood because how do you explain that, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, especially with the body. This is something that, when you said that people probably wouldn't understand, I thought, oh, I know exactly what I can relate that to. Whenever I cry or I'm upset, I get pain in my body, in my hands, in my arms. I went to the doctor. He was just like, you're crazy. There's nothing wrong with you, you know? And I said, every time I cry, I have pain in my body, like it's physical pain. But it makes so much sense. Like, in terms of the astrology and the spirituality, the psychic, it all just blends beautifully. And I think not a lot of people realize just how closely on the same line they are, between, I'm only really just now, gosh, when I was a teenager, I'd look in the magazines and go, oh, Pisces, never thinking I had an ascendant, a moon, Mercury, never thinking anything like that. And then as I'm like watching, it was actually, I found Lada through, I just typed in one day Pisces star sign, like it just came up like that. And I was like, oh my God, I really relate to this, And then as I found out what my ascendant sign was, I just thought to myself, what the hell is an ascendant sign? Like for me, it was just baffling. And now it's kind of like, I actually relate to being more Scorpio now. I think I've changed. I think as soon as I hit 25, like the Scorpio in me just went, hello, and it all just changed, But I think with Taurus in my moon as well, I find that I'm very, I can be, obviously, Pisces, Scorpio, you can be very mature, very, floating away, it doesn't matter. You can have fun, it doesn't matter. But with Taurus, like for me, like I'm moving house at the moment. I've got my head screwed on, and that's where Taurus is going, right, we need a plan and we need to get this sorted, But I do know that, my Aquarius being in Mercury, I know that makes me a bit of a chatterbox,
Yeah, that's definitely it. And also, we talked about how you have Mercury in square with your moon, which again makes it difficult for you to explain yourself, explain your emotions, explain your intuition, explain the things that you're seeing too, because there's also that connection with Neptune. So that's sort of a lifelong lesson. People who have Mercury square the moon in general have a difficulty expressing what's going on internally. And so, and even if you feel like you're expressing it correctly, people are going to misunderstand it, right? So there's a little bit of an issue going on there as well.
Yes, I agree with that. 110% agree with that. Especially, if we all do it. If we're in a foul mood or whatever, we put something on social media or whatever, and we can perceive it. We can think about it one way, and then the other parties reading it will think of it another way, and that's when arguments break out. And I've been there, done that, worn the t-shirt, But I think the best thing for people to realize as well is that astrology. I'm a very avid mental health advocate, if you like. I've done a lot of research into mental health. I was diagnosed with depression many, many years ago, and I didn't believe it for a second. I thought, no, I'm not depressed, nothing wrong with me, but why do I feel so emotional? I see it now because I'm very empathic and very emotionally, I'm like a sponge. I just absorb people's energy. I have to, after every reading, I have to do like a ritual. I have to clear it all off, because otherwise I carry people's emotions around with me, and that can make me feel depressed, you know? And I think that that's what people sometimes don't realize, is that really, you know, they tried to throw medication at me. I said, oh, fun that stuff, you know, keep that stuff away from me. It's going to stop me from being the best version of me, the authentic self. And I think that's where a lot of people think, you know, that would make a lot of sense, you know, especially if you're a water sign, you feel more emotionally based around other people like you. As I say, if someone came to you and said, I've got this problem, if you're empathic, you tend to take on their emotions like your own. And therefore that can carry with you for many days if you don't clear it off, trust me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a problem with a lot of people who have a lot of water in their chart. So if you have your sun, moon, rising sign in Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces, or if you have like a lot of your personal planets in these areas, I find that a lot of my clients have that same issue. So what would you recommend that people do for the water signs in particular that absorb this emotion? How can you clear it? How can you clear that energy so you can come back into your own and come back into your own self?
Well, what I do is when I do a reading, I don't actually have it with me. I've packed it away somewhere. I have what's called Amazonite, a crystal. That's very good for protection of energy absorption, if you like. But I carry it in my car. I have got amethyst everywhere. I carry it like religiously. I have some in my bag, in my car, in my windows, you know. But after every reading, if I've been with a client or even with a friend that's got a problem, I literally just close my eyes, I take a few deep breaths, and I say, right, I ask my guide, clear that energy off me. And I think another thing as well that people don't realize the importance of meditation, like it change your life, one of those kind of things, it will change your life. You can actually get meditations, you know, you can get them on YouTube. I've done a few myself. I put them on the internet, you know, where you can essentially just have a guided meditation to shift off those patterns, you know, those patterns of thinking, people's emotions, because it's important that your mind's clear, but also your soul is clear, because, you know, you're carrying, I call them, I've kind of studied into it, but they're called samskaras. So it's all about, you know, even past life, things that we've been through in previous lives, we can carry them into the current life unless we clear it off. And I think that's what a lot of people fail to realize, just really how important it is to clear off energy. Because as I say, it can hit you years down the line and you think, why do I feel like this, you know?
Okay. So do you find that you come into like issues with clients and stuff that you work with, that they have like these energetic attachments, and that's causing some of the problems that they come to you with? Okay. Yes. What do you recommend people do when they run into these circumstances where they feel like there's something that's like sort of sucking their energy, or that's attached to them, or there's like this dark cloud over them? What would be the best, easiest thing that people can do to sort of, you know, release that?
Yeah. Do something that you absolutely love. And that was where I started as a basic, because, you know, it's okay for me to say to you, oh, go do meditation, go do some hypnotherapy, go and do Reiki, you know, and sometimes that can be a little bit overwhelming. But what I started with, this is before I went all, as I say, all spiritual. I went and just, I got one of my favorite albums, and I sat in a quiet room and I just listened to it on low, like just have it on low. And as I say, do something that you love, whether it be watch a YouTube video, whether it be listen to your favorite artist, whether it just be go and watch TV, something that's going to distract you from that sucking out of the life, because if you're not giving it attention, it can't fuel itself, you know. I always imagine, you know, if I ever feel quite down, quite stressed, or someone's attaching themselves to me, you know, I had an incident last year, and I told you briefly about it before. I had someone that was very, 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 basically they were like trolling my YouTube channel. They were trolling me on Lada's channel. They're still doing it now. Now, last year, it bothered me so much that I spoke to the police. I got YouTube involved. It was so draining of my energy because I became like fixated by it because I was giving it attention and I was giving that person the attention. So now it's like a year on, I'm just like, oh, do your worst. I'm not bothered anymore. If you don't give it the attention that it wants, therefore it will manifest into something else. If you just send it love, I send that person love pretty much all the time. When they leave me a dislike, I'm like, sending you love because I'm putting that barrier there. And I think that's, if you can kind of imagine, say, the situation that you're in, you put a brick, if you mentally imagine a brick wall, it's not going to, they can't get past you. It's not, they're not going to enter your space, into your aura, because if your aura is like a sponge, like mine, you're going to absorb it. And therefore you've got to learn how to clear that off, you know?
Well, and the thing with that is too, being a Scorpio rising, and I don't want to make this all about the water signs. We'll talk about some of the other signs and placements as well. But we just both have so much water, and it's interesting that you mention about someone who's like essentially very vampiric, right? Scorpio rising people, and especially people who have Pluto in a strong placement or Pluto sort of afflicted in their chart, which, I mean, you have Pluto in Scorpio, it's in square to your Mercury, it's in opposition to your moon, so it's a difficult Pluto. It has some really nice aspects as well, but, you know, it's near your ascendant and your Scorpio rising, and people who have really strong Pluto placements and really strong Scorpio, they tend to attract these psychic vampires. And this is something that my teacher, Lynn Coiner, wrote about and talked about and taught me about. And I was like, oh my goodness, this explains everything that's been going on, because it's like every time you're at a crossroads and you're starting something new in your life, it's like those myths, right, about the vampires. When you're at a crossroads, you know, you're standing at the crossroads, but you're standing at the crossroads in life. They come in and they want to suck your energy because they know you're vulnerable, you're disoriented, you're starting something new, you're not quite sure of what's going on, because having this strong Pluto placement indicates that you have a lot of power and a lot of energy, and people want to tap into that. And so it attracts like the best people that, you know, are sort of magnetized by this. They're like, oh my goodness, this person, she's awesome. She's, you know, really truthful. She's really intense. I love it. And then you get these like weird vampiric people that want to sort of suck your energy in the background because you have so much of it, right? And so that's something that if you're Scorpio, if you have a lot of Scorpio or a lot of Pluto, you really have to be aware of that and to be able to set appropriate boundaries with people. And again, to not let it phase you if they do try to come in, because sometimes they're far away and you can't really do much about it other than put up like some sort of energetic boundary or wall. So yeah.
I agree with you. I actually do. And I think the thing that is that the worst part for me is when I had last year as well. It was around about the same time. I had a lady friend of mine. She does Reiki, and she says, Amy, she says, I'm going to be honest with you. She goes, you had like a psychic attack. And I said to her, like, what is a psychic attack? What is that? She's like, basically, they've sent you negative. Like, we can send healing to people. It's what I do. I send healing to people. You know, a friend of mine has cancer at the minute, so I'm working with her to help heal her with her treatment, of course. And she said to me, yeah, you can do that as well. People can send you negative attacks, and what they've done, what this person had done, they sent me this negative, it was almost like black witchcraft, if you like. They sent me this energy, and unfortunately what ended up happening was I felt really, really down for a long time, and she cleared it off, and she was like, Amy, that was malicious, like that was so nasty, this person wanted you to be hurt. I noticed my YouTube channel started failing. I felt like my videos weren't 100% me like now. I just felt entirely like this person was manipulating, if that makes sense. And I ended up luckily I got it cleared off, but my God, it was really scary.
Yeah. And that stuff, I mean, I've experienced similar things in my lifetime as well. And, you know, it's scary in the moment when it's happening. But once you recognize what's happening, you're better able to deal with it, and you can like move forward without having to like, have this stuck to you forever. So
I think you're like my sister from another mister. Like we've got
There's a lot of parallels going on, right? I think it's the rising sign thing. We have this weird 11-degree Scorpio connection. I don't know.
Crazy. I love it.
Yeah. But speaking of which, we should get into like sort of the next topic that we're going to talk about, which is lucid dreaming, because that's a really fun one. And a lot of people are always trying to figure out how to like do dream work, do lucid dreaming. You know, there's like courses online you can take, books you can read, different things like that. Because it's really fun and it's a really awesome way that you can work with your dreams and that you can sort of gain insight, gain information. You can sort of control what's going on in your dreamscape. And for me, it's mostly just a lot of fun, but a lot of really powerful messages can come through in dreams as well. And so this is kind of a fun topic too, because there are certain placements that I have noticed that have to do with like lucid dreaming or dream work or having really strong psychic impressions in your dreams. And one of the things, if you go back to like my playlist on Lada's channel, I did like a video about planning your perfect day with astrology, where I talked about the different placements in the chart and how they relate to the different times of day. And so people who have water signs on the ascendant and the midheaven especially, they tend to have like really like deep, really psychic, really crazy dreams. Scorpio on the IC can cause like nightmares and night terrors and things like that. And Scorpio on the ascendant can cause like really psychic, really powerful visions that come usually early in the morning. So like early morning would be probably for you, like when your best dreaming happens. Yeah. And so that's when you get the most psychic visions, the most energy, the most messages that come through. And so if you look at your IC and your ascendant in particular, that's going to show you a lot about your dream world and your dream life and what goes on in your dreams and how you can utilize this for your benefit. And so one of the ways that you can utilize your dreams is through lucid dreaming. And so, you know, do you want to share some of your experience with that?
I love lucid dreaming. I love it so much. Like, you have no idea. I have these, I had this lucid dream last Saturday. So I went to a place in the UK called Manchester, and I went to this, it's called Clubland. It was kind of like a very dancey scene. We had a really good time. Everyone was dancing and there was lots of music. It was amazing. And I met one of the artists that I have like literally been in love with since I was an early teen. And it was kind of like an inner child thing was going a bit crazy. But when I went back to my hotel and I went to sleep, it was about 6 a.m. I was having this lucid dream, and it was like my entire night played out again, but I was able to change it. So, for instance, when the artist had to go, I changed it and he stayed. And we ended up I ended up talking about music production and stuff like that. But it was just this intense dream of, and I woke up and I went, oh my God, please, can I go back to sleep? That was amazing. Because you can see that the dream is going somewhere, but you're going, no, I want to change that a little bit to make it more exciting. You know, in nightmares before, I've had nightmares of, you know, it can be in the middle of the night. I've had nightmares of people breaking into my house, and then they're about to kill me, and then I'm like, hey, no, this is not going to be a horrible dream. We're going to change it. And then I had this one dream. This guy came into my house and broke in, and he had this hammer, and I just went, do you want a cup of tea? And he went, yeah, all right then. And then we had a cup of tea, and then he left. And it was just like, I can get myself out of bad situations in lucid dreams. I found that is really beneficial. But yeah, it's all about, really, lucid dreaming is just about controlling of the mind, but controlling of the mind, the way that your dreams are going, you can change it, which is exciting.
It's fun and it's really empowering as well. And so that's something that, you know, I've been working with since I was a little kid. I used to like lucid dream all the time, and I'd have these really powerful lucid dreams. I also had bad things that happened in like night terrors as well. I had a lot of dream stuff going on at a young age. And I mentioned to you before, I realized at a certain point that it was kind of weird what I was doing. It wasn't normal, because I would just phase into these dreams whenever I wanted to, like even in the middle of the afternoon. I would just go like, I'm in my dream now. And I would be like talking and acting it out, but I wouldn't know. I was like in this like completely other world. And then I started to realize that this is weird, you know, so I stopped doing it and I suppressed it. So I had to actually relearn how to do lucid dreaming in adulthood.
Because as a child, my son does it. I mean, he's nearly 5, and you'll see him as like his eyes glaze over and he daydreams. And I used to do that, and I still do. You know, I can be at the traffic lights, and I can sometimes get into trouble with this. I'm at the traffic lights waiting for them to go green, and I'm gone in my own little world. And the next minute I hear a car go beep. I'm, oh, sorry, you know. And it's all about going into that. And it's actually really good. It's actually, they've actually, I was reading about it. It's actually a form of meditation. because
Yeah.
really you're meditating on something wonderful, and it's
Hmm.
therapy. If you find yourself daydreaming at work, I'm guilty of it. You know, I did it today at work. I was just making a coffee, and the next minute I'm okay, I'm gone again. You know, and I think that it's nice just to escape a little bit. You know, it's
Hmm.
nice to escape from reality, if you like, and actually just go into the psychic realm, if you like, of your dreams. You know, it's quite exciting.
Yeah, it's really fun and it's useful too. And it's something that anybody can learn. I mean, the water signs on the ascendant and IC, like I mentioned, or Neptune on the ascendant or IC, Pluto on the ascendant or the IC, these are all placements that are going to make this come easily to people. But even if you have like earth signs, fire signs, air signs, whatever it is, you can learn to do this. And one of the ways that you start to sort of learn how to do this and learn how to become awake and cognizant and lucid in your dreams is by doing these like reality checks. It's the very first step. So like you go through your day-to-day life. I had to read a lot of books to relearn how to do this. And one of the things that was really helpful was I would look down at my hand and I would ask myself several times a day, am I dreaming? And this is something that anyone out there, anyone who's watching this can do. And your hand obviously during the daytime looks normal, right? So I started doing this, and after a couple of weeks in my dream, all of a sudden I caught myself like looking at my hand and saying, am I dreaming? And my hand had like 20 fingers, and it was just like so like not correct. And I knew I was dreaming, and I got so excited that I zapped myself out of the dream. But after after a few tries with that, it actually became like I could keep myself in the dream after that because it wasn't so exciting and crazy. I was like, okay, I have to keep calm because your emotions can sort of take you out of it. And from there, I was able to start going into it a lot more easily. And I was able to do a lot of like work in my dreams where I would go up to the characters. Like this is something you can do yourself. Like you can go up to the characters in your dreams and ask them who they are and why they're there. And sometimes they'll speak gibberish and sometimes they'll have like insightful information to tell you. And like
Yes.
really powerful stuff can come through. And also it's just so much fun.
My dad passed a year ago, and he comes through in my dreams. He does. As I say, before he died, he was in a wheelchair. He was and then he was bedbound. He was really, really sick. And now he is like a young man, and he comes to me in my dreams. And I remember a few weeks ago, I had a very, very, very lucid dream, and he was there. And he was doing like this Irish dance. He's like, "Look at me now, I can walk," you know. And I say to him, have you got anything to tell me about the other side? Or do you need me to know anything? And he actually said to me, this is about 6 weeks ago, he's like, Amy, you're going to move house. And I said to him, like, oh, don't be stupid. The landlord's not going to sell the house. Don't be daft. And he was like, no, seriously, start decluttering. And then I forgot all about that dream. And then a couple of days prior to my landlord coming to the house to tell me that he was selling the house, I said to my kids, like, guys, you need to clear out your rooms. Like, there's like this very strong urge for me to tell you, you've got to go and sort your rooms out. We're going to start like sorting things out, getting rid of old stuff. And then 2 days later, my landlord appears on the doorstep upset, and he's like, I'm so sorry, I need to sell the house. And I went, oh yeah. It's like deja vu. It's like
Yeah.
it comes. I know somebody that predicts. Well, she predicted all of the storms that happened in America recently. Like she predicted them all by her way of lucid dreaming. She gets
Wow.
told by her guides. She got told about the one in Ireland that happened on Monday. She was telling me about it on the phone. She's like, Amy, I get these awful lucid dreams that these predictions happen, and they're very upsetting. And then that's when I have to say, yeah, you have to try and control it. You're letting these dreams manipulate you. You need to manipulate it. So if you're not happy with that lucid dream, you have to say stop, and you have to take a step back from it, And it is easy to do once you've figured out how to master it. It just comes so naturally. It's wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes, you want to just step back and let it happen because there are messages that come through. And even if they're not comfortable, they're coming through to you for a reason. So you could see something that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise. So, it's important to know sort of when to say when in terms of like, the dream world, because you can get really powerful insights and messages if you were controlling your dream that they wouldn't necessarily come through in that way. And so, it's kind of, you got to kind of play with it and figure out where your sweet spot is, because I get a lot of messages through my dreams as well. And like, I wouldn't want to block that out because I want to like talk to this like man over here, like in my dream that's, doing something weird. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. So I guess let's move on to like the next topic, which we were going to talk about, which I think was auras, because I know that you did a video with Lada about, how you see auras and sort of the different colors and what they mean and things like that. And I want to know how you first discovered that you could do that and how you learned to sort of trust that experience as like something that's real.
It was so weird. I had it was actually when I met one of my very good friends that I'm still in contact with now. We were sat drinking coffee, like it was one of our first ever meetings. So I didn't know much about her, and I was just like kind of sat across the table, and I looked up, and she had this yellow around her, and I'm like, is it a blonde hair that's shining? What is that? Like, it was so weird. And I never said anything about it. And then I had a couple of days later, I think it was, my friend was also sat in the same room. We were all just sat and chatting away, and then she had a lot of blue around her. And I thought, okay, I'm seeing colors now. This is strange. And then I looked at myself and I saw a lot of purple. And then it clicked. It clicked through my obsession with the color purple. My car is purple. I carry a lot of amethyst, and everybody was like, I actually went to a few of my psychic friends and like, yeah, your aura is purple. And I'm like, what does that mean? Why am I seeing these colors? So I bought a book on auras and colors, etc. And I, dissected what every color meant. And purple is all about psychic. It's about being a psychic. It's about having that psychic energy. But my friend said to me when she read for me, she's like, Amy, it's so purple that your aura colors do change. She says you may have another color flip through, but it will never ever go away because you're meant to be this. You were meant to be a psychic per se. You were meant to be the spiritual light worker.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend at the time, little did we know, she had a lot of yellow and a lot of orange in there as well. Little did we know she was actually pregnant at the time, and we didn't know. Nobody knew, even she didn't know. And then she went on to have her baby, and it was just like, it means about fertility. That makes a lot of sense now. And my friend that was carrying a lot of blue, it was a lot of strength from Archangel Michael, a lot of this beautiful strength, because little did we know her boyfriend was cheating on her. So then she found out that God, she's so strong. It's unbelievable. She ended up just deciding, like, usually she has a lot of Pisces in her chart, so she would have usually broken down. But on this occasion, she just went, no thanks, get out. And then that was it. She was so strong about it. And I was like, wow, there's the strength. That's why it came through in her aura. So it was just fascinating for me to see that, in readings, people say, if we do telephone readings, yeah, but you can't see me. I don't have to. I can feel your energy, and I feel those colors. And it's just, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Oh, that's so fun. What color am I?
You have. I actually was reading you prior to us going live. I actually,
Really?
yeah, I always do. That's why I said to you at the start, like, I would never put you as a Virgo. You have a lot of reds. There's a lot of red surrounding you. That's all to do with being very open, being very loving. This is just this, you're just, what you see is what you get. And you're not, if you say, for instance, you don't like someone, you're going to let them know, but you're going to do it with compassion, and you're going to do it with love. You're going to do essentially what I was saying before, send them love and move forward. But you also, you have people gravitate towards you for your kindness, for your love, for your, you say you're an open book person in a certain way with spirituality and stuff. People feel your energy, they feel gravitated to it. So yeah, there's a lot of red surrounding you at the minute. Where as I say, it can change.
Interesting.
Yeah, I get like I said on the video with Lada, like, I didn't even know at the time that she was expecting a baby, and it was like, oh, you got fertility running in you, and then she was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I was like, that makes sense. Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's really cool. And yeah, I mean, that is a pretty accurate description of me. In a lot of different ways. I mean, I'm not like, saying I'm like the greatest, like loving, compassionate, whatever person, but I try, to be loving and compassionate. And I do tell people like the truth, I that's one thing that's really important to me, is being truthful with people. And, if I don't like someone, I'm not going to work with them. I'm not going to, keep them around, that type of thing as well. So yeah. And that's something that came up very recently too. So it's interesting that I'm red right now. because it might have to do with like the situations I've been encountering over the past couple of weeks. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. And
Yeah,
so
oh, that's amazing.
seeing auras is something I don't know necessarily how to find that in the chart. I would assume that it has like a similar energy to like being able to see visions and being able to see things, and like, but it has to have a tangible component, right? Because you're seeing it like almost in reality, like it's like an overlay, right? It's like you're seeing something and then you're seeing this. Yeah, so I think that Taurus energy connected with that Neptune and trine to your moon probably has a lot to do with that, because you are able to see things in visions, you're able to get these impressions, but it's also rooted in this like physicality as well, which is super, super interesting.
Mm.
Um, and one of the another psychic that I know, she offered up her chart just kind of as an example, if I keep her anonymous and all of that. And hers is completely different, but you can also see a similar thing where she has a lot of grounded earth energy, where she can take this sense and these impressions that she gets, and she can sort of ground them into reality and make them into something, that is tangible. And that comes through, with her moon being in Virgo. So it's interesting that these moon signs, you would think that the moon being in the earth signs would be less psychic, but a lot of times I find that they're more psychic, and it's because they're able to connect what's going on internally and on these other levels to reality, and that's not something that everybody can do. Sometimes they just think it's a fantasy, it's an illusion, it's like a daydream, it's my imagination. But being able to understand that this is connected to what's tangible, that's sort of the gift, and that's how you can actually utilize this for something.
It's
So
crazy. It really
yeah.
is. I think I found as well, as I say, I'm not a big astrologer. I'm not, I mean, I'm still learning. It's a learning curve for me. I never wanted to delve into it. I always thought, no, I'll stick to what I know. But actually, I find it really fascinating that,
Mhm.
when I do readings with people, the first thing I'll always say is, what's your sun sign? But I'll get to, I mean, as I say, I don't always ask them straight away. But because I get a vibe, that's one thing I do find with my, say, talents per se. Like I said to you, I would never put you as a Virgo, because when I read your energy, it's so different to what I would think of Virgo is. And as I say, like one of my friends who's I always say in my videos, like, oh, very self-employed Virgos because they're so good at it, very good at running it, very good at being level-headed.
Yeah.
And my friend is typical Virgo, like totally typically Virgo, like runs multiple businesses, totally switched on. But there's a compassionate element in there, and she has Cancer as her ascendant. And I thought, there it is. And so, but I always would put her as a Virgo as her sun. So sometimes, like, I always think, like, I'm really feeling one sign, and then they'll tell me another sign. I'll think, right, I need to look at the chart, and then I'll be like, that's why I can feel that energy. So really, a lot of the time, astrology and reading the auras, reading people's vibes, reading
Mhm.
what I'm getting off my guides, it all just merges beautifully together. I just wish that I could just go, yeah, that's conjunct with this and that. But it's still, like, I was telling Phil about this. I was like, I get
Well,
it.
and it's
I'm
a
still
different
learning.
way. It's like a different way of approaching the same thing, because, astrology is the study of symbology and symbolism and the way that everything is interconnected. And it opens your intuition, your ability to perceive these things through these symbols and through sort of looking at like these images and understanding the different layers of meaning behind them. And the same thing goes for the tarot. That's why the tarot is so deeply connected to astrology, because there's a lot of astrological symbolism ingrained in the tarot. And then, so these are all just different tools that you use to tap into your intuition, to tap into a deeper sense of knowing and understanding of other people. And some of the best astrologers are also psychics. Like my teacher, Robert Phoenix, who I just did a video with yesterday about Saturn and Capricorn. Brilliant. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, absolutely brilliant. Definitely watch that. But he was trained as a psychic, and he worked professionally as a psychic for a number of years. Then he worked as a tarot reader, and then he worked as an astrologer. And that's when he sort of became very world renowned and recognized for what he was doing, because he was able to take all these different layers. And the way that he does this is he connects everything to everything else, so he can dissect what's going on in the world from this like super deep, super esoteric, super sort of, it's like he sees right through everything, and he can get to the truth of it and explain it to you in this way that's super interesting. So it's all connected. These are all like different ends of the same coin, I think.
It's wonderful. And as I say, it doesn't matter how you approach it. I started with angel cards. Like, that was the one thing that's where my Amy's Angels thing came from, you know?
Mm-hmm.
When I started, I used to be called like my old YouTube channel, I let my daughter name it, so she called me Miss Tinks, as in Tinkerbell. And it was Miss Tinks Tarot. And I used to sit with my Doreen Virtue decks, and I used to take the cards, and I used to just be very shyly going like this, talking about it. And then I needed something a bit bigger, and when I found Lada, like I was a bit, I just literally, I sent her an interview of myself, and I was like, look, this is me. And she loved it, and she was like, yeah, you've got something, but you have to be a little bit more confident. And I think that is the basis on everybody that's entering spirituality. You need to have confidence in it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you say to yourself, oh, people are going to think I'm crazy. I did that, you know. I ended up being from Miss Tinks Tarot to Amy's Angel Guidance. I changed it because I thought, you know what? I need to spread the word, and I need to tell people there is more than the 9-to-5 job. There is more than just waking up, getting married, raising kids. You know, it's so much more than that. It's on this different dimension, you know. And that's where I think that people have to have confidence in it, because that is our authentic self. That is our higher self. I did a hypnotherapy session with a wonderful lady called Bridget Hamilton, fantastic lady. And she said, you're ready to meet your higher self now. And during this hypnosis, I met my higher self, which is like the all of you. And it opened up pretty much my entire chakra alignment. Everything just went bang, and it made sense. So I find that when you start to believe in it, you start to trust yourself and say, do you know what? I don't care what people think. Yeah, I'm going to get trolled. Yeah, people are going to say you're crazy. People are going to say, oh, yes, heaven's not real. Screw them. It doesn't matter, because we know the truth. So there you go. You know, it's about also as well, I mean, we mentioned this the other day about people who you imagine a flock of sheep, and you walk away. You're the sheep that walks away. You're not the sheeple. You're not the herd. You don't follow the crowd. Hey, line up for your flu shot. You can have to go and get it if you don't want to. It's your choice. It's your body. You know. So if you want to be in a situation where you want to go and pick some tarot cards up, why the hell not do it? And I think that that's something that people they just hold back, and it's such a shame, because we're here in this body once. We may as well make the most of it and be the best versions of ourselves, you know.
Exactly. And I think that's something that people, all of us, I mean, probably everybody on this channel, everybody who does this type of work has experienced that, where, you know, it's sort of weird, and you get this sort of weird look from people when you explain what you do, and then you feel, but it's because you're not explaining it with confidence, because you're expecting this look, you're expecting the judgment, right? And I went through the first year of me like professionally working as an astrologer. People would ask what I did, and I would like lie to them, or I would say it really meekly, and then they would kind of look at me like slanty eye, like what, you know? Yeah. And I came to a point where I just stopped giving any, you know, craps about it. And so I just started saying like, hey, like this is what I do. And I say it with confidence, and I say it kind of like a little cocky almost. And then they just don't even say anything back to me, or they'll be like, oh, that's really cool. You know, like people receive it much better than I thought that they ever would. Like people are like, wow, that's really interesting. That's really cool. You know, I'm into astrology. My friend's into astrology. This person got this reading and it was really great. Can I have your business card? Like if you're confident about what it is, and you're coming from a place of authenticity, which is something that you talked about in one of your videos yesterday that I really liked, is like coming from this place of your true authentic self, which the North Node in Leo right now, that's what it's all about. Coming from authenticity and acting with courage, and just being like, this is who I am. I'm here, you know? So if you don't like it, fine, but this is the truth.
I did an event not too long ago. I do like home events too, where I go to psychic events and I do readings, and they're like, and this man, he came up to me and it made me laugh, because he read, I had like a little plaque here, and it tells people about what I do. And I said, hi, how are you? And he goes, oh, you're a psychic, you should know. And I was like, haha, very funny. I was just asking you as a human being, not a psychic. And he was kind of taken aback by my comment, because I thought, nah, sorry, I am asking you how you are as a human being. Because a lot of people as well, they ask me, Amy, are you constantly reading people? Oh, no. If I walked into the town centre where I live, you know, And obviously I live in Nottingham, so it's Robin Hood, it's very touristy. If I sat on a park bench or whatever and I read everybody, my brain would just blow. So I learned to switch it off. And I think a lot of psychics can vouch for that. Like, we just learn how to turn it off, if you like. You can never really 100% switch it off with me. Like, I asked this lady, asked me last night, can I switch off my psychic powers permanently? A couple of psychics said, yes, you can. But I'm kind of on the fence with it, because I think if you have a gift, you have a gift. And it will always re-emerge itself. It doesn't matter what lifetime, when it happens, it will always re-emerge. It's kind of the universe's way of saying, you've got a gift, deal with it, you know?
And that can especially come out when you have certain transits, right? So like if you have a lot of water energy and these like water planets are being transited in a big way, even by like a Saturn transit, it can help you to sort of come into your own and be your own authority in these areas. But like even if you don't have any water in your chart, you can still have these abilities and they can be triggered. Like if you have a really intense Neptune transit, it can be very ungrounding. You could be very, have a difficult time staying like in this world. And it's helping you, you know, to tap into these other layers and these other levels. It can be really difficult and very ungrounding and very disorienting. And it can be hard to see things in reality in the same way that you normally would be able to. But at the same time, you know, these transits, like Neptune transits, dog is in the background going crazy. But Neptune transits in particular, I've noticed, they deepen your psychic abilities, they deepen your intuition, and they deepen your connection to everything around you. And so anybody can tap into this energy at any time. We all have Neptune, right, doing something in our charts. But when we have certain transits, it can bring this out of us. And even if it's just for a period of time, it lets us know that there's something else beyond the physical that's going on here. And you can either pretend like it's your imagination, pretend like it's a fantasy, or you can integrate that. And so, you know, that's one of the biggest lessons of the Neptune transit. So anybody who has a lot of mutable energy right now, like Sun, Moon, Rising in Pisces, Virgo, Gemini, or Sagittarius, you're going to be having, or you just had a transit from Neptune to your personal planets. And so that's what a lot of these mutable people, these people with these mutable energies are experiencing, or they're coming into this experience over the next couple of years where they're going to be able to understand things and perceive things better. And then also with Jupiter in Scorpio right now, it's going to be trining over to Neptune in Pisces. And so in general, that's going to deepen a lot of people's psychic abilities. It's going to deepen intuition. We're not going to be able to hide anything over the next year. Like the things that are hidden below the surface that have been like swept under the rug, they're coming out already. And we're seeing sort of the seedy underbelly of what's going on, but we're able to work with it a little bit more easily. It's not something that we're fearful about as much. And we're able to look at it through the lens of love and compassion, right? Because that's Neptune in trine. So we're going to be more compassionate toward one another. We're going to be able to understand these things and utilize them not for our own benefit and for our own power, but to help other people and to empower others as well. And so that's a lot of the energy we're coming into in the next year. And it's a really beautiful thing. There's a lot of hard astrology coming in the next couple of years, but I think this Jupiter in Scorpio is a huge gift. And I think people are going to start to understand that there's more to this reality than what we see in a big, big way. And yeah. So
I think the hardest part is that I think a lot of my, a lot of past clients have said to me, like, Amy, why is the energy getting so much more difficult? And I said, yeah, but as the darker energies, if I went down the road of saying about demons and demonic entities, which I've unfortunately had to deal with in the past, even spiritual vampires, if you like, they're going to get worse, of course, but our spiritual powers, our spiritual talents, our spiritual energy is going to get even higher. So if you probably noticed, a lot of people are waking up and being their authentic self and saying no to what all the sheeple are doing in the corner. Oh, go and buy the latest phone because everybody has to have it because it's cool. No, I'm quite happy with my 2-year-old phone. Thanks very much. I'm going against the grain. And it's kind of look at it like that, a lot of people say, like, these messages you get in your dreams. I say it's kind of like getting a download. It's like you're a mobile phone or a cell phone, and you're downloading an app. It's like just downloading a message, and that's what it is. You can simplify this so much, God, when I started delving into this, I thought, oh my God, it's too much. I can't understand any of it. But just break it down and just be a lot simpler, especially with astrology. I just break it down. I watch your videos because you make it sound so clear. I watch Philip's videos because he makes it so clear. You need to have these people that understand where they're, with astrology, but breaking it down into a simple manner. And I think that then it doesn't seem so overwhelming.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem so scary either, because, a lot of people are like afraid of these types of things because there's a connotation because of, the history of all these different things. But I think that's changing. And so I think, maybe we should end here on a really nice note, because things are, these things are developing. There's like a lot of hope in these areas. And for a lot of people, this is going to be a really important time to develop these gifts and to develop these sort of abilities, and to sort of share it with the world in a way that's authentic and unapologetic. And, people are going to be way more receptive to it. So if you're thinking about, delving into the esoteric, delving into the occult, delving into spirituality, delving into these like psychic realms, lucid dreaming, whatever it is, now is a really important and potent time to do that. So we can all understand, we can all connect through, mediums like this, where we're talking about and having an open discussion, and everybody has a mutual understanding, and it's not necessarily viewed as like strange anymore. And I think it's already headed that way.
You have to break that barrier of it being strange or very weird, because that's what people in the past have led you to believe. It's always about what's been passed down the grapevine. But that's what we're here for. We're here to help, and that's what my life purpose is to help other people discover who they truly are. Someone said to me just earlier on, they were like, you should be a life coach or something, like guiding people through life. And I'm like, that's what I do. I help people and stuff. But yeah, I think that's it. I think, going forward from this, if anybody is a beginner, the best place you can start is with somebody that can help you. I think you shouldn't do this on your own. So, I mean, you can if you want, but the best thing is to know that you have other people around you that get it and they understand it. You can go, I have a question about this. Yeah, that's fine. I'll happily answer that, So yeah, I think the best thing is, if you feel like you need to really talk to someone, do that. Don't keep it to yourself. Don't feel like you're alone in this world, because you're not.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was a really fun talk. And, if you want to book a reading with Amy, you can do so in the description of the video below. I'll post a link. If you want to book a reading with me, same thing in the link below. Oh, and I do want to make a couple quick announcements before we go. My teacher, Robert Phoenix, is doing his webinar all about Saturn and Capricorn next Saturday, the 28th. It's only $29 if you sign up now. Sorry, my dogs. Oh my goodness. Something's going on out there. But yeah, Robert Phoenix, his webinar, it's great. I'll post a link for that. And then my webinar all about inconjunct aspects will be on November 25th. And so again, you can sign up for that at the link below. I hope to see some of you there. And again, thank you so much, Amy. This has been fun.
Absolute pleasure. I know it's been fun. It's gone so fast as well. I can't believe how long we've been talking,
I know, right? All right. Well, awesome. Thank you so much.